Currently 5:20 a.m. And so Universal Waste is engaging in what is a demonic activity. This is, first of all, a demon-possessed third party who is in operation of a commercial vehicle, engaging in what are the criminal elements of monitoring in concert with the state of California. And it includes relevant positioning, audible activity, and light activity, not only through the operation of that vehicle, but Universal Waste, which is, again, nothing other than a means of specifically identifying an actor that is acting on behalf of an entity. Universal Waste is the entity. Understand that. The entity acts through one person. The entity acts through a group of people. The entity is engaging in criminal conduct on a ceaseless basis. The entity is engaging in a sex offense while Universal Waste is pacing in and out on this property, engaging in what is harassment as an entity, engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. They're doing so in the specific environment. And this is the engineered light that's inside of my bedroom right now. I just took an image of it. I want you to see this is the pattern of the blinds that's appearing at an upward trajectory adjacent to my window. And this is my window right here that is closed. I want you to see that this is called impossible light activity. This is called stalking in the path. And what they were doing last Wednesday, the entity was amplifying this sound. This is activity that does not disturb you from sleeping. It does not create loud, thunderous, audible activity. What demons do in the engineered light is for purposes of targeting you. And it's going to be committed by the entity that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and also federal stalking on the venue of the internet. This is what Universal Waste and this particular third party and any other employee that's been arriving, because this company is going to produce that information at federal prosecution as to who's arriving, because they're going to federal prison. This is light activity and relevant positioning. It's all happening in the engineered light. Remember, this environment is where I am walking outside. I've documented, and it's gang stalking by virtue of the light activity. My shadow surrounds my person. So when you are creating light activity, you are engaged in what is ongoing facilitation. And let me be clear, the people of the state are monitoring while this demon is the means of amplified audible activity. The state, that is the LAPD, are monitoring while this entity is the third party is the means of light activity and amplified audible activity and relevant positioning. What you're looking at is called the ongoing criminal monitoring while they are present under the light source during the day. That same demonic activity is underway where you're looking at a third party and a demon-possessed one driving by a building, as you have seen on multiple occasions, openly exhibiting their demon possession, which is documented terrorism that Universal Waste and that third party is going to be prosecuted for, and engineered lights moving all across the building. So this is what's inside of my apartment right now, and this is how the entity is engaging in a sex offense. This is the entity engaging in an ongoing pattern, which is consistent, keeping engineered light around the targeted individual, and this engineered light is light which is never naturally occurring. And this is the light that's filling my apartment right now at nightfall for purposes of what is criminal monitoring. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what is the maintenance of that, but I want you to pay attention. First of all, this is a street lamp. All right, these street lamps, ordinary street lamps, they do not create multiple shadows. They create a shadow that's going to appear beneath you, not above you. All right. And it's not going to create what are shadows that surround your person, which is exactly what you've seen. I've already documented that. This is speaking to the specific environment where a third party is engaged in criminal monitoring. That's prosecution right there. In addition to that, you're going to understand this is already a documented terrorist. So coming and emptying the dumpster pursuant to an ongoing, regularly scheduled service is ongoing criminal activity. You're not emptying a dumpster. You're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, period. And that's exactly how you're going to be documented. And the entity is doing so just like you see Amazon Prime, just like you see UPS, just like you see Center for Better Life coming onto the grounds and picking up third parties, engaging in that documented terrorism on behalf of the state that's obsessively stalking by helicopter, committing a sex offense, both while you're being molested with engineered light and while you're inside of the private space subject to that ceaseless stalking and surveillance behavior, which again, all of those commercial actors are also going to be prosecuted under Title 18 because they are engaged in federal stalking, and that which is surveillance using communication devices on the venue of the internet, also violating what are those relevant federal policies regarding HUD housing, having the personal, private, identifying information of third parties who are, again, they're group stalkers, but the entity is also engaged in criminal conduct while they're monitoring, while they're engaged in federal stalking. They're also exposing, sharing, distributing, and looking at, having criminal possession of what is the social security numbers, the private identifying information. And this is the light activity that's not going to be caused by some street lamp outside. All right. And this is the light activity that's inside of my apartment. So I will go ahead and take a picture so you can look at that, because this is exactly what is the light activity inside of my apartment right now. These are closed blinds. You saw the street lamp that's outside. No street lamp creates light activity through closed blinds, just like no sunlight creates light inside of your apartment magnified in size, just like you see here. That's appearing and remaining inside of my apartment. On the walls, this is magnification of light. You see the magnification, the entity is maintaining engineered light inside of my private space at all times for purposes of criminal surveillance. This is documentation of terrorism via directed light. The entity is maintaining this 24 hours. It's appearing and disappearing. And this is well into what is the evening, where the entity is engaging in what is a demonic imitation of, supposedly this is the sunset that would be present after you've witnessed the sunrise at this same property. And I'm documenting the maintenance of this engineered light, which is magnified in size. Okay, so at nightfall, the entity is maintaining what you're looking at here, engineered light inside of my private space. That's documentation of a sex offense. And the entity is maintaining this engineered light at nightfall as well. And the entity is engaging the criminal elements monitoring while you're looking at the specific environment that's surrounding me. And that's also how you're recognizing what is the targeting by a third party that wants to outwardly appear as though they are disconnected and uninterested, ignorant of the target individual. You're recognizing the targeting by the maintenance of the specific environment. And this is me taking a picture, and you can see it come up very clearly when I capture images. Hold on. When I capture images of the, here we go, take a picture right here. When I capture images of the light activity inside of my apartment. This is I just took this picture right now so you can see. It's currently 5:26 in the morning, 5:26 and 35 seconds. So you can see I'm taking this in real time. I don't have to alter or make up anything. This is impossible light activity. This is the closed blinds. The blinds are closed. The street lamp is on the ground, on the sidewalk. I'm on the third floor inside of an apartment. This is the pattern of the blinds appearing on the wall adjacent to it at an upward trajectory, also including up on the ceiling. This is all manner of what is demonic. All right. This is speaking to what is the condition of those that are in relevant position and are monitoring. And at nightfall, the entity is acting pursuant to a documented pattern, maintaining amplified audible activity, universal waste, engaging in what is harassment as an entity, engaging in what is a sex offense. And this demon that arrives knows exactly what this is. My second bedroom, and you're looking at impossible light activity. Same thing. The blinds are closed. There's a street lamp that's on the sidewalk that creates a shadow that's beneath you. It does not create a shadow that's going to surround your person. It's engineered light, and this has nothing to do with that street lamp. This is the presence of a demonic environment, which is going to be prosecuted as this is engineered light, directed light. The same directed light behavior that you see that demon driving a universal waste vehicle, and that engineered light is dynamic as it's moving across a building. This is how you're engaged in what is criminal monitoring and state surveillance on behalf of a demonic entity. That is the state of California that's practicing demonic activity, and it's criminal surveillance. And these demons engage in what is surveilling an American citizen in the most terrorizing way that they can fathom. And it's supposed to be secretly underway, above suspicion, above even ever being suspected, that they're stalking one person, targeting one person. You're recognizing it through the environment. And that's exactly what you're looking at the evidence of. And this is how you're recognizing targeting. This is the impossible light inside of my second bedroom. The blinds are closed. And this is engineered light. And remember, through these same closed blinds during the day, the entity is aiming engineered light onto the floor inside of my living room, and moving it at other times, the same closed blinds, the same window, the same supposed sun, but you're looking at what is the trajectory of that light in an entirely different location. I'm in my living room now, and this is the engineered light that's on the ceiling. Again, you have the ongoing inconsistency with regard to the position. In my bedroom, through the closed blinds, you've got light that's same color, but the light is going toward the bedroom wall. It's going toward what is the nearest surface. Understand what the objective with the engineered light is. That's the pattern that you're going to recognize. In the same way, when a demon is crossing path, the nearest surface is where that engineered light is going to touch. And that's why you're looking at engineered light moving across building 1818 while demons are driving their vehicles. That's the admission of a third-party group stalker that is also of the condition that is, which is what you're witnessing, that engineered light, okay? And so this is the impossible light activity that's inside of my apartment while I'm documenting 24/7 the Los Angeles Police Department that are stalking by helicopter. This is indeed the specific environment that remains. This is indeed the evidence of what is an ongoing sex offense while you're subject to surveillance by that entity that's acting vicariously right now through the people of the state, namely universal waste. This is, again, the directed light that you're looking at inside of my apartment is the directed light, and you're going to recognize the pattern. This is what I'm showing you. This is what's occurring when you're looking at the same thing in a different way, okay? But it's not really different. This is at a third-party facilitating venue. This is engineered light. This is maintaining engineered light all around you, okay? And you're paying attention to your environment. The sun, first of all, is not going to be over this parking garage in Victoria Gardens at the same exact time that it's hovering over my head as this entity engaged in assault and battery by an entity on Wednesday. And also yesterday, as I showed you at the same time as I took video, just so that you can see what is indeed maintenance of a light source, which is not the sun, because it's both present rising here in alignment to me through my living room window, and also setting in alignment to me, aiming engineered light. And I speak it's not actually aiming engineered light. Sunlight does not create light on your ceiling above your head. I'm referencing the illusion when I say that, because it logically follows the sun is not remaining for the duration of the day, and it's also not creating sunlight above your head in your on the ceiling, and also below on the walls. We know this, okay? That's why I'm speaking in those very specific terms. Okay. And the sun is not over the parking garage on Q Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga in the depths of a parking garage, and also outside of my bedroom window at the same time, and over me on Alvarado Street at the same time. But what you are looking at, that's the specific environment, not the sun, not the natural environment. Okay. And also the sun, the setting where you saw this entity engage in what is assault and battery, they were walking in engineered light. They were driving in the engineered light. As you saw the shadow activity, the third parties that were engaged in what are violent speech, pacing around with hostility, those were demons that were pacing. They were just doing it with the emotion of anger and hostility that they were openly exhibiting. These demons are always hostile. These demons are always angry. These are the ticking time bombs that are surrounding American citizens in this country while they're keeping us under surveillance, and you're not even aware of it. And these psychopaths are working for law enforcement agencies who are bearing weapons, having access to things such as these tanks that they use, like they're going to civil war. Also helicopters that I'm showing you that they're using. These are the same law enforcement agencies that are keeping us under surveillance, and they're openly, as the LAPD has shown, and they're not the first one that's exhibited this level of obsession and impunity. But you're going to recall in your mind the access of weaponry that they have at their hands. And it's serving for what's criminal. It's serving for what is threatening American citizens as opposed to protecting them. Okay, they are the domestic enemy, and I'm referencing the state of California. But like I said, by virtue of what you are understanding the crime scene as the demonic imitation of the natural environment, okay, because that's not possibly the sun over anybody in Nevada while it's remaining over my apartment all day long. There are implications there, and I'm not going to speak on the rest of the country. I'm going to prosecute the state of California, but those who hear me, I know that you can clearly hear me. Okay, this is indeed creating a public safety concern with regard to public corruption, specifically the law enforcement agencies that are group stalkers. All right. So this is getting back to the directed light. This is what's occurring in my apartment. You're looking at the same thing in a different method. It's just based on the setting. This is a parking garage for purposes of massive monitoring. The entity is keeping engineered light into the depths of a parking garage, supplementing for this what would otherwise be shaded. So you're looking at what is openly demonic, and you can witness it. The ongoing intention to keep that engineered light surrounding the target individual. And it's also dynamic while third parties are driving on the street. Engineer light, it's flashing about at the same time. That's what Universal Waste engages in when they're driving. That's what Tiffany Sherez. That's what Vanessa Drees. That's what Center for Better Life, which is LA County. That's what you saw on the asphalt wall. UPS is crossing path. Okay, you're talking about this is what's happening while any other third party, the entity is well documented engaging in this. This is engineer light outside of the parking garage. And this is what is filling my apartment right now at nightfall. 24-hour maintenance of an engineered environment. All right, so the entity is maintaining this light source over me, as I've already shown you. This is the light source. The light source is a distinct method of targeting. The engineered light is another method of targeting. The two are not required for the other. There's no light source that's creating this light on my ceiling at nightfall. Okay, has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with the street lamp that is outside on the sidewalk. All right, you're understanding what is demonic. You are recognizing the demonic environment through the engineered light itself. It is the personification of Satan. The demon possessed are keeping you under surveillance. They're stalking through the environment around you. Okay, while they're looking to the left and the right, those demons that are group stalkers, third party and state actors, they are very much present through that environment that surrounds you. This is how you are recognizing the demon possessed who are in your presence, who are keeping you under surveillance, and who are of that condition through the very environment. And then you're also knowledgeable about it through their behavior. Okay, so this is at a third party facilitating venue. And you're looking at what is the shadow beneath me and light, that this is exactly what you saw inside of my bedroom. Okay. This is the ongoing consistent pattern that the entity is engaging in. And yesterday was the 9th. And so let's just look really quickly so you can remember what I documented inside of my bedroom. This is exactly what you're looking at. The entity maintaining, that's engineer light. That's the light source. It's in a previous video. Hold on, let me go back before this one. The entity is maintaining the engineered light in my bedroom. Oh, it's before this one. It appears and disappears. It's never naturally occurring in the first place. Hold on. 348, I believe this. Here is the engineered light appearing above my head. And then, so like I said, this is the same entity that's engaging in a pattern of stalking via light. That's demonic. Okay, you've never heard of that because it's not normal. It's conjured up in the pit of hell. But this is the entity's pattern. They are following, pursuing, remaining with light, molesting with light, not normal light. It's engineered light. This is light that grows and mutates and literally follows and appears and disappears. It is literally the presence of the demonic. Stalking with light is the pattern where the entity is stalking in your path. That's any and everybody. That's going to be the entire area that I'm showing on video. As far reaching as that engineered light is, so are they group stalking. And that is the malice of that entity. It's never naturally occurring. You do not need someone to sit in court. It's legally irrelevant stating, I don't know the target individual. I don't know what they're talking about. I bought my house in 1972. I've been living there before the target individual. All legally irrelevant. You're understanding what is corruption by the state, and you are going to be prosecuted. This is how a corrupt government is engaging what is massive state surveillance. And that evidence, that's like stating, I don't care that the knife was in my hand and that it's dripping blood and that the victim is lying in front of my feet on the ground dead. I'm refusing to accept, I will not accept responsibility for the crime. It's tantamount to that. Okay, you're going to be prosecuted and you're understanding the system and the pattern of that system and the fact that it's all unnaturally occurring. None of it's naturally occurring. You could have it if you could suggest that it's natural. None of this light activity is natural. It's all scientific impossibility. You have phenomenon after phenomenon after phenomenon, which is a pattern amongst those who are present. And then you have the behavior of those in that environment. You are engaged in the very highly malicious system, which is exposing the public corruption. And you don't have a constitutional basis for any exception. There is no excuse for this ongoing system, this cohesive system that is ceaseless, cyclical, systematic. For the pattern of group stalking and monitoring. This is engineered light that filled my ceiling, okay? Out of the same bedroom, under the guise of being that's not even a persuasive guise, clearly. That's not, but this is the entity's pattern. This is the same thing you're looking at. It's the same conduct when you're doing so in a public venue for purposes of massive monitoring. It's the same pattern of maintaining engineered light all around for purposes of monitoring in relevant position, group stalking, and monitoring with communication devices, Title 18. And this is the prosecution of a whole venue. Victoria Gardens is a massive venue. I'm going to prosecute the state of California, specifically Victoria Gardens, facilitating massive surveillance. And this is the irreducible direct evidence of it. This is a pattern. And it's occurring what's inside of my private space right now. This is exactly the environment that is present while a third party is engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring because I remain subject to that system on a ceaseless basis. While it's occurring inside of my private space, it is the engagement in what is a sex offense. And this is a violent sex offender that repeatedly comes and engages in that sexual violence and criminal facilitation for that sexual violence while knowledgeable about the fact that they're being documented, exhibiting the psychopathic mind state, asking me a question that they know the answer to, engaging in what is lying in wait wait behavior and then asking me a question that you know the answer to, and we can run back that tape of that act of a documented terrorism with the engineered light under the light source, which they're routinely engaging in. This is going to result in what are mental examinations. All right. This is the entity that's engaging in that criminal conduct on behalf of the very mentally ill and demon-possessed state actor, the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. All right. It is currently 5:39 a.m. I just wanted to give you up close examination of what is the unmistakable pattern of group stalking that is occurring 24 hours a day. This is the same apartment where I'm showing you what is a so-called sunrise, and through my bedroom window, a so-called sunset. That in and of itself is a pattern of conduct. That's never the natural environment. It is impossible. And yet you're witnessing a government engage in ongoing provision of evidence against itself, the whole entity. You can name a company because I've been there. They were monitoring. When you have that evidence, that's speaking to any and everywhere that you were at, that they were monitoring. And that's exactly how the federal government is going to, any and everywhere that the target individual, once you have established that investigation, everywhere that your rights were violated. So say you've got the evidence of prima facie case of P.O.C. and say you recall you went to the doctor 6 months ago, that entity is going to be prosecuted for that sexual violence and that exposure of all that private information, which is not exactly, it's not private at all because you were monitoring. You're not pausing that. You didn't just start that when the target individual started documenting that. This is the body of evidence that's going against the state of California. But remember, my expansive documentation is to serve for establishing precedent because you have what is the malice of a corrupt government thinking that, and the demon-possessed entity that engages in what is physical violence, seeking to silence and seeking to kidnap, because that's exactly how that could have gone, absent the ability to, navigate around demons who are inferior in every regard, very highly envious, hostile because they're being exposed. And as I spoke to it yesterday, the more that I referenced the fact that these are demons, they act true to form. What did you see yesterday? 2 videos, about 20 minutes each, engaging in what is demonic pacing, flying in a circle in relevant position to me, doing so while they were pacing all around. That wasn't walking, that wasn't driving. Those were demons that were acting out in hostility, engaging in what is showing their logos. This was an act of hostility, which is documented terrorism, while they are hostile to being exposed and documented as violent aggressors, sex offenders, while I'm in the private space, documenting that act of terrorism, doing so in concert with the state who's flying in a circle, demonstrating demon possession in the engineered light. That's what was the significance of the entity arriving and engaging in all that criminal conduct in plain sight. They're all surrounded in the engineered light. Engineered light fills my apartment space, the sunrise and the sunset, the demons that are in a helicopter flying in a circle, and all of the actors that are documented and just engaging in more of it in plain sight. None of that is normalcy, and that goes, I'm providing that ongoing context to what the demon-possessed population is doing, which is serving for, again, making it clear the public safety concern that exists with this population of this condition engaging in this criminal system, and the personality defects, the threat that exists with regard to the safety and the livelihood of American citizens who are then enforcing their rights, who become aware of it. This population in the United States is facing a threat while that is exposed. And that's exactly what's revealed. That mental illness is revealed while you're flying in circles, which is group stalking behavior. And you're doing so for 20, 30, as I documented, 47 minutes. You're doing so in the environment and the engineered light you're targeting. It's unmistakable. The light source is over me. There's no sun that's going to be over Victoria Gardens at any time of day while it's rising and setting in alignment to me inside of my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles. And the entity listens to me speak the truth about it. And that demonic activity, it increases. The aggression ratchets up. Okay, that's a threat to the safety. All right, it is currently, again, 5:43 a.m. and this is POC.